reach more students and try to really give you guys the information that you need. So I'll tell you a little bit about me, where I'm from. From Moore, Oklahoma. Started going to NSU in 2005, fall of 2005. Graduated fall of 2009. I'm sorry, spring 2009. The football team was just as bad as it was when I went to school, so that hasn't changed. I was back for homecoming on Saturday, so you guys kept it looking great, campus looking great. I was really happy to be there for that. Graduated from Northeastern State with my degree in healthcare administration, like I said, in 2009. Enjoyed my time, was in a fraternity, was very active on student government on campus. Graduated magna cum laude. I was really happy with my experience. But after I left Northeastern, since I hadn't done like really an internship or anything like that, I found myself working a concrete drill at the Walmart neighborhood market. And I then became a cashier at the Walmart neighborhood market. I really didn't know where to go from there. You guys have a lot better career services now, so I'm sure you guys won't have as many problems, and you're talking to me. So obviously you have interest in hearing a little bit more about the United States Navy. From there, my brother, who's also in the United States Navy, he's been there for 15 years now, kind of helped me out with finding the right place, finding the officer recruiters. Then I applied. January 1st, 2012, I started officer candidate school in Newport, Rhode Island. And then April 13th of 2012, I became an ensign in the United States Navy. Since then, I've traveled the world. I've been to Bahrain. I've been to Korea, Japan. I've been to Qatar. I've been to Oman. I've been to Dubai. That was really nice. I've been a lot of places. I've been across the oceans. I've been across the Gulf. I've been just about everywhere. And we'll see where I go next. I'll be back on a ship in about a year. For right now, though, I'm recruiting, and I'm recruiting in Oklahoma City. If you want a recruiter in Oklahoma, then I'm your guy. I work with a gentleman in Tulsa who's getting revved up and started on recruiting. But for right now, I'm helping him out, and I'll be recruiting you if you're interested. The first question you may be asking yourself is, how do I join the Navy? To be available for the Navy, you have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be a U.S. citizen. For most of my programs, you have to have a 2.8 GPA or higher, but there are some notable exceptions. If you have a science, technology, engineering, mathematics degree, you can join when you're a sophomore as an officer. And then if you are any other major or any other type of student, you can join when you're 12 months away from graduating. So basically what I'm telling you is before you leave Northeastern, I can have your slot in the United States Navy ready so that when you graduate, you can go to officer candidate school and save 3 years, unlike I did. Right, I kind of rambled around for 3 years, like I kind of told you. I wish I would have known this when I was in your shoes there at Northeastern. I'll run down the whole process about how to join the Navy, give you all the information, kind of tell you how easy it is to start the application process, and then after that, we'll kind of open up the floor to questions. So we'll start with the first part of the application process. For most applicants, it's going to be the ASTV OAR. And keep in mind, I'm talking about Gen Off applicants, that's general officer applicants, that's surface warfare, intel, supply, NFO, naval flight officer, and pilot. So if you want to be like, you're in Top Gun, Maverick, and Goose, you can be those last two. But I'll kind of show you how simple it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you guys so you can kind of see what I'm seeing. The first thing I'm going to show you while I'm sharing my screen with you is I'm going to show you the ASTB. That's the Aviation Selection Test Battery. Okay, the Aviation Selection Test Battery is the test you have to take to come into most fields. It's got 3 sections, as you can see here on the OAR: the Math Skills Test, the Reading Comprehension Test, and the Mechanical Comprehension Test. Okay, those are going to apply for supply, surface warfare, and then intelligence, if you want to do any of those, okay? If you want to do one of those, then you'll have to take that test. Those are timed tests, and they are adaptive. The smarter you are, the better you'll do. The second section is the actual ASTB portion, the Aviation Nautical Information Test, Naval Aviation Trait Facet Inventory, Performance-Based Measures Battery. You're actually going to get to fly like a plane with a throttle and a joystick, get to see how well you do. And the biographical inventory with response verification. I can make this website available to you guys, and I will actually make that website available to you in the chat. so you guys can copy and then paste it onto your browsers. That has a lot of information. Depending on if you pass that test, basically the next thing we do is we'd send you to Meps in Oklahoma City. You'll go to Meps. We'll pay for your hotel the night before downtown. I'd recommend scheduling it around the Thunder game, so you can go to a Thunder game, stay in a hotel that's right next to the arena, and then go to Meps the next day. It's kind of fun. Meps are going to give you a really good physical from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. At the latest. Then you can go back to Southlaw. That's Monday through Friday, limited Saturdays, not very many though. So that would be the next step. After that, we collect your transcripts from every school you've been to. We collect your some motivational statement from you, 600, 800 words of why you want to be in the Navy. After that, we get your what's called a DD-370 form, which is your recommendation, personal recommendations and professional recommendations from people in your field. And then we do a background check on you. It's really that easy. The whole process, if we streamline it, can take as little as 3 weeks. So seniors who are seniors right now, I could make sure you have a job before you graduate from NSU. Juniors, if we wait a few months, we can start the process now. Then I could send your application in after May, and then we can have you a job before you get back in, before you go back to school in the fall. There's some new POC stuff. So if you are a science, technology, engineering, mathematics major, like I said, you can join when you're a sophomore. You start getting paid when you're a sophomore, and you get paid for the last 30 months of your school, and then you're an ensign in the United States Navy on a submarine or then an aircraft carrier. So that's really how easy it is. I know it sounds like a lot of stuff, right off the bat, but I really facilitate most of it, and I will make sure that you do kind of what you need to on that end. Before we can talk about, I can talk about some specific programs in a minute, but I would like to stop right here and see if you guys have any questions about the stuff I just mentioned. Then we can talk about those individual programs and kind of what jobs the Navy has for people out there. Anybody have any questions about anything I've went over so far? I'll keep looking at the bar to see if there's any questions. But if there's not any questions, we'll kind of talk about the different fields that the Navy has available to you. Thanks, Judah. Appreciate it. First, pilot. The thing that's most demand in the Navy. We need pilots. So much so that I'm gold with more pilots and NFOs than really anything else that I have to get. So I want to get pilots, right? You want to be Maverick. It's really cool. Basically, you come and you talk to me and you do all the tests, you do all that other stuff. You go to OCS, you go down to Pensacola, Florida, stay there for about 2 years, learn how to become a pilot, put on your wings, and then go fly in the Navy. You can fly many different things, from fixed wing to rotary. I mean, we're talking things as small as, attack helicopters versus things as large as like the E-2C, which they have here in Oklahoma City, if you ever kind of see those. So that's pilot. They specialize in flying planes, right? Pretty simple. Naval flight officer. Now, they do a little bit different. Now, I've been talking about Top Gun a lot just because a lot of people have seen it. I like it. Kenny Loggins is a great artist, whatever. Naval flight officer. Goose is the naval flight officer. He controls the weapons. He controls navigation. In bigger planes like the P-3 or P-8, those are the guys that are going to be able to look at sonar buoys that track submarines, and they run those systems for you guys. Make sure you're safe. You're like when you're in the cruise ship, there's no submarine that's going to come shoot your cruise ship, right? So that's kind of good for you. So naval flight officer. He's the guy in the back of the plane. He also knows how to fly. He also learns how to fly, but his specialization is not as specialized as the pilot because the pilot actually flies the plane, right? Both of those could lead directly to opportunities outside the Navy in aviation or aviation management. People want people that are in the Navy. You can be in the Navy in some programs that we'll talk about here in a minute, for as little as 4 years. So you sign up, go to a job for 4 years, get compensated better, make more money than your classmates that are going out there in the career field, come back and be able to use all your benefits, like Coastal Living GI Bill, which if you have questions about that, we can talk about that later. But I'm getting ahead of myself, benefits, and let's go back to jobs. Surface warfare. Surface warfare is my job. I'm a surface warfare officer. That's what that pin means right there, the big one. I drive ships. That's what I do in the Navy. I'm not a career recruiter. I'll go back to a ship, like I said, in about a year.
I've driven minesweepers that have been 1,300 tons and 200 feet. I've driven destroyers that have been 900 feet. I'm sorry, 500 feet and 9,000 tons. So Navy has a lot of different kinds of warships. We need drivers of those. But I don't just drive warships, right? You go in and you run the administration of a division. You have a lot of responsibility. In 4 years at sea, I led, over 40 sailors in 2 different commands. And, made sure that they were taken care of. And you were talking about taking care of people in addition to getting to do the cool stuff like driving the ship, shooting guns, shooting missiles. I got to shoot a lot of guns in 4 years. It's been pretty cool. The 50 caliber weapons are awesome. If you have more questions about those, I can answer those too, because we had a lot of fun with those in Persian Gulf. Supply officer. So if you're studying something like logistics, supply chain management, business management, any business degree, you can go into supply. You can also go into any of the other jobs that I've mentioned thus far, except for the sciencey ones that I can talk about with the nuclear reactors. So, but if you're in like supply chain management, logistics, you can go be a supply officer. For those 4 years, that's the initial commitment. And then once you're done with that, you have that on top of your resume when you go to these businesses, right? So some people are looking for internships and they go start working in the mailroom at a company. Well, you've worked for 4 years, you've made good money as a supply officer, and then you go out into the business world with Lieutenant United States Navy on the top of your resume. That's a pretty good resume, right? That's one I'm going to look at and see. I know what that guy did. If you guys have ever been to NSU Broken Arrow, there's lots of employees there. One of the deans there is, former Navy commander. So those are everywhere. People that have been in service really respect other people in their service, and just like kind of everybody else does. So it's a good thing to have on top of your resume. But supply officer, they do contracting, purchasing, make sure that we have the fuel supplies that we need, parts that we need when we pull into different ports. So the Navy as a force, the biggest thing behind us is not really the size of the weapons, but the size of the ships. It's really that we can get parts and supplies anywhere in the world. And that's because of our fabulous supply officers that let us do that. So you can be a supply officer. That's also a great job. Intelligence officer. So basically, I kind of put it like this. Intelligence officer, a captain on a ship has radars and sensors that the ship has that people on the ship run. When you look at those sensors, there's a finite range those sensors can see, right? Just as anything else. The intelligence officer pushes that situational awareness out to thousands of miles with the use of resources, satellites, planes, other units. They take all that information, compile it for the CO, and get a situational awareness, commanding officer, compile it, get a situational awareness up as high as possible so that you can know when you're sitting down, for example, off the coast of Australia and a submarine from Country Red or whatever left, 3 days ago, their maximum range, their maximum endurance, their maximum speed. So you know where they could possibly be closer to you. You really know where everybody is. And that's kind of what the intelligence officer does on ship. On shore, they do a whole bunch of other things that are great, but the first job is usually the ship. So that's what I kind of go to first. And then, if you want to stay in for more than 4 years, you kind of get some of that shore tour life. Are you staying for 4 years? You can stay in for 20. That's really the kind of cool thing about the Navy is you can stay in for really as long as you want. You don't have to re-enlist once you're an officer. Once you're done, you put in your papers and you're done after that initial service commitment of 4 years for those 3 jobs. Let's talk about pay and benefit. Anybody have a question about any of the jobs I listed so far? There's more jobs. Those are the most popular jobs. There's some jobs for civil engineering corps, for like architects and civil engineers that are available that I could talk more specifically with individual people about. Those are the jobs that are the jobs that I mentioned are the ones that are most in demand right now. So before we move on to like pay, benefits, that kind of stuff, anybody have any questions about jobs? Judah, my man, jobs sound great. It's good. Okay, so I'll keep watching for questions, and if you guys want to break in with a question, let me know. I'll see it for a question about the jobs. We'll kind of move on to the next thing, which is pay and benefits, right? The military pay tables are out there. You guys can find those on the internet. You'll find wages that are very competitive with people that are going to start out, and as well as now, when I'm a lieutenant, I've been in for 5 years now. Things go pretty well for me. My wife hasn't worked a day since I got in the Navy. So she also went to NSU. grad, '09, but she takes care of kids, and that's what she likes to do. And that's kind of financial freedom that this job allows me to have. One of the big things is about the job of financial freedom is never having to pay for health care. I do pay for my kids and my wife's dental, but I've had 2 kids. They were both born at Balboa Medical Center in San Diego, California. I had some of the finest care that we could get in California while I was there, or in the world for that matter. The bill that I got for each of those hospital visits, for my wife, for all the pre-visits, for all the visits that we had to go to, for my kids, for their birth, $0. You don't pay for medical while you're in the Navy, minus dental, if you want to go for that, which I do because I want my wife's and kids' teeth to be great. But for all medical stuff, healthcare, I go to the ER right now. Ambulance driver could take me to any hospital. That'd be fine. TRICARE would pay for it because that's what we have. We have TRICARE. They take care of us. Take care of us real good. I tripped once when I was back in Japan. Cut my eye open right here. Stitched it up. $0 cost. I'm not trying to fall around. I don't want to go to the hospital. But it's good to know that if I do go to the hospital, that I won't have to worry about the financial burden of that, right? If my, heaven forbid, one of my wife or me were going to get a chronic illness, they would take care of it for us because that's kind of, financial safety and benefit that you get when you're in the armed forces. Basic allowance for housing. It's called BAH. That's basic allowance for housing. That is a tax-free allotment that comes to your paycheck every month if you don't take government housing. So, for example, when I lived in Japan, I did not get basic allowance for housing because I lived in Japan and I was in a base housing unit, so they didn't pay it for me. But when I was in San Diego, they pay you based on the zip code. So it's going to obviously be different in Tahlequah than it is in San Diego, California, because you guys know how much it costs to rent an apartment in Tahlequah. It costs a little more in San Diego, so they're going to pay based on that. I get that every month. Got that every month. I was out there, paid my rent, paid my utilities. It was kind of nice. Then I had to worry about that either, and that's tax-free. That's on your check every month if you don't take government housing, which is also nice. The government housing in San Diego is some of the best in the world. The government housing in Tokyo overlooked the Tokyo Bay. I had a three bedroom apartment overlooking Tokyo Bay that the government never made me pay for because I lived there in Japan. It was pretty awesome. Had my hammock out in the back. Actually, I had 2 balconies. Have a hammock on one, and then have my camp chairs on the other, and we look at some beautiful sunsets, some beautiful sunrises. So can't say I didn't enjoy that. Had a beautiful view of Mount Fuji every single night. Can't complain. Basic allowance for subsistence, you're going to get paid for the food you're supposed to eat every month. They're going to pay you that. It's tax-free allotment that you'll get. There's overseas housing allowance, cost of living allowance for places that are really expensive like Japan. We also got lots of allowances, and you can if you look out there at what people get paid in the Navy, you can find all that information. So I'm basically telling you that you'll be paid well, but just past the net pay, right? You look at BAH, stuff like that that's not included. You'll never pay state taxes while you're in the service. Oklahoma is a place where they won't charge you state taxes for being in the service. I've paid state taxes for 5 years, and you can look up the Oklahoma Tax Commission. It's totally good. You get cheaper tags every year. My tag's been $25 for the past 5 years every year. So that's another benefit. Less extrinsic benefits. Let's go more to intrinsic benefits, right? School. Say if you serve your 4 years honorably in the Navy, you get out, you want to use your post 9/11 GI Bill, something you can totally do. You can bring it back to Northeastern State. You can get a master's degree pretty easy. I mean, not easy, but it'll be hard for you since you're studying, but you won't have to worry about the financial burden because they're going to pay a lot of money for that. You go to OU, OSU, you can use it anywhere in the state. You can use it out of state. There are ways that you can get out of the Navy for a short time. Get out of the Navy for a short time. It's called the Graduate Education Intermission Program. You go for 2 to 3 years, get your graduate degree done, and you'll owe a little time to the Navy on the back end. But you're going, you can have your hair as long as you want, have a beard, all that kind of stuff, because you're basically out of the Navy in an inactive ready reserve status while you're in graduate school. Or you can do it while you're in. So you can start a master's program while you're on shore tour, while you're at sea. It's really flexible now. My brother, who, like I said, has been in the Navy for 15 years, got his bachelor's degree from OU. He didn't step on campus once as a student until he graduated. He did it all online. So that's kind of cool, I think.
That's really it. All I have on pay and benefits. Before we go to other kind of questions that you guys might have, I kind of like to just, say that I wish I would have talked to someone like me, or at least with my experience when I was in your shoes, right? I was 22. I thought that, just being active in extracurricular activities at school and getting good grades was enough, and it's not. You really have to do your research on what career you want. You really have to get in there and get those internships that you want. You got to make sure that you're doing what you can to prepare for after college. Getting those extra activities are great. It was a great experience, very rewarding. I made lifelong friends from, being in a fraternity. I met my wife. She was in a sorority. It was great. But you got to do your research on what jobs you want after college. I will tell you that you don't have to do an internship with us. You can come in at the end of your junior year, or anytime during your senior year. We apply you. We try to put you in the Navy. It's a no commitment type of thing either, right? We send you to everything, and we get to the last step, and you're about to raise your right hand and commit to the Navy and swear in. And if you don't want to do it at that point, we just part ways, right? Everybody thinks that as soon as you come and take the test, or as soon as you come and do the physical, like you're locked in to the United States Navy, and it's not even the case. I'm very transparent with my processes. I'll tell you what I'm doing each step of the way. Usually I'll tell you how long it's going to take. Sometimes, because of extenuating circumstances, I have to get medical records for you, or a transcript has a long way to come before we get it in your kit. It can take a long time. But I will be upfront with you guys and honest with you guys if you do go forward in the process about that. So if you take anything away from this, I hope you take some information about the Navy, about planning for your career outside of, NSU, inside NSU. Make sure you guys use that career services. They want to help you out. They've already helped me out, like getting you guys in front of me, right? Which is more information than you had before in the last 20 minutes here. So make sure that you're getting everything you can out of this, right? At your college experience, make sure you're looking for a job right now, even if you're like a sophomore, make sure you're preparing. And I can, even if you are a sophomore, even a freshman, I can help you guys out by trying to prepare for that. So been about 20 minutes. I can ramble on for a little bit about, preparing and everything like that in the Navy. What questions do we have, you guys? What questions? Sarah, thank you for the question. What characteristics do you join for a candidate wanting to join the Navy? So there's guidelines, right? Like I talked about earlier, U.S. citizen, 2.8 to over 2.8 GPA. Sometimes in certain cases over 2.5 GPA. If you're at 2.4, don't worry about it. We can work with that and try to get you a waiver. They got to be physically fit, right? When they all go off to the Navy, you got to be within certain height, weight, body standards that we can talk about. We'll tape, if you need help, we'll tape you up. We'll try to get you some guides and stuff like that. They're going to have to get in better physical condition because eventually you are going to have to take a physical readiness test, right? Certain conditions are disqualifying, right? If you lose an arm, lose a leg, lose a kidney, if you have diabetes, if you have HIV, there's certain conditions that are disqualifying. And, if you just ask me about them, I'll be matter of fact, I'll look it up right in the publication and I'll tell you, what's disqualifying, right? I'll be very upfront with you guys about, what we can do. Other than that, if you've been arrested, that doesn't help. But if you have been arrested, that's not necessarily disqualifying. There are waivers available for people who have, used certain substances. But we also don't prefer that. So if you are thinking about doing that, not something that helps you join the Navy and whatnot. So that's really it. We want to make sure people are of good mental, moral, and physical character. So, but it's really just the guidelines I just mentioned. We got a question from Catherine here. What is the difference between joining the Navy as compared to other branches of the military? Are there benefits different between branches? Now, everything I mentioned about pay and benefits is about the same. The pay charts are the same. Your health care is the same. You're going to go to the same place to get a physical exam in downtown Oklahoma City.
What I will say, and I am biased because I am in the Navy, and I'm also a Navy recruiter, but I will tell you that when you want to go on deployment in other places for the Army, the Marines, the Air Force, when you go on deployment for those distinguished places in the Navy, you go to a place, you work there, you sit there, and you do your job, which is very honorable, and I'm very glad that there are people, Americans, that do that. In the Navy, your office, for my last case, was a 505-foot, 9,000-ton destroyer that can be anywhere in the world at any time. There's over 60 destroyers right now. They're all cruising out there, making sure they're keeping America safe. But, for example, I had a friend named Brandon, and Brandon is now an instructor for ROTC in the Washington, D.C. area. But before, he was on a ship out of Mayport, Florida. And when he left Mayport, Florida, he went from Mayport, Florida to Norway, Sweden, came down, came back through the North Sea, down to London. They, trained to London, right? But they pulled into England. They came back, went through the Strait of Gibraltar. They hit Rhodes, Spain, Naples, Italy, Cyprus, Greece, went through the Suez, down the Fifth Fleet area, stayed in the Gulf for a few months, and then came back, about a 9-month deployment. So you take your office with you. So if you want to go and sit in the sand for 6 to 9 months and do that, that's cool. Very honorable. But if you want to see the world, this is the job. You get on a ship, you go, you see every port, and you get to experience life. That's kind of what I think I would say the benefit for the Navy is that you take your office with you, and when you go on deployment, you get to see lots of cool stuff. I got to go to the demilitarized zone. Like within the first month of when I got to 7th Fleet, which is in Japan on my destroyer, I got to go to the DMZ a month after I got there. I don't think I would have ever have seen that if I wasn't in the Navy on a ship. Great experience. Great experience. Those blue buildings, between North and South Korea, yeah, I was in those. That was pretty cool. I mean, I have associates that have been to places like Sri Lanka. They've been all around the world, and you can really go all around the world with the Navy. Thank you for the question, Catherine. That's a great question. Of course, Judy. You definitely can contact me with questions after the meeting, for sure. I will. I'm going to put. I have my business card right here. I'm going to put that in front of the screen. And if there's anybody else with any more questions, they can ask them. Ask away, please. I'll answer really any questions, even if it sounds silly or something like that. I'll still answer it. I mean, I'm just, a Northeastern grad, just like you guys are going to be. So I'm just a person. There's my contact information. Lieutenant Derrek McGowen, U.S. Navy. You can see my address right there, the 101 North Douglas Boulevard in Midwest City. That's actually where I'm sitting right now. I may or may not be here if you call that office number, because I am the recruiter for the state, like I said. So I keep that gas tank pretty empty. I fill it every few days, and I get out on those roads. The cell number is good. You can reach me, almost all the time. Try not to call me after 10, because I have to sleep too. I've got 2 kids. When they get sleep, I sleep. Right? 806-576-9910. That's 806-576-9910. If you guys want to send me a fax, that's 405-741-2983. And then don't worry about it. Don't call it toll-free number. Just call my cell phone. I don't imagine you guys would be sending me faxes, but if you do, there's the number. Can you guys see those numbers? Or are they backwards? Because they look backwards to me. Okay, good. Good. But yeah, 806-576-9910. I have a reverse image, so maybe they don't. Maybe I just read backwards. Never thought about that. Interesting. Great. I'm glad you guys could see that information. If you guys still need that number, 806-576-9910. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Putting the card down. Okay. Any more questions, guys? About different jobs? There's a few different jobs I didn't mention that really just aren't that. We're not looking for that many people in them that we could talk about if you want. But really, those big ones are, like I said, the nuclear propulsion program, surface warfare supply, Intel, and then pilot and NFO. And just starting it is just as simple as taking that test. I can meet you guys in Tulsa for it. I can meet you here in Oklahoma City for it. With enough advance notice, I can come out to Tahlequah for it. Obviously, I know where it is since I graduated from there. I'm from Oklahoma City. I know how to get there from here since I'm in kind of Oklahoma City. So I'm more than willing to give you that test. If you take the whole thing with the piloting exam, it takes about 4 hours. If you just take the OAR, this for supply, surface warfare, or intel, you're done in under 2 hours. You know, in an hour and a half, if you can be in the Navy or not. After I've asked you some questions and you've told me some stuff, like about your GPA, all that kind of stuff. Any major can apply. Surface warfare, supply, intel, pilot, and NFO, all 5 of those, you can be any major. Don't care what you graduated with, just that you're going to graduate. You should take a test, score well, have a high GPA, you can get in. I'm a healthcare administration major. I don't do that in the Navy. I drive ships. Any more questions? Catherine, great question. You can take the test up to 3 times. It has to be separated by 30 days. So on the 31st day, you can take the exam a second time. 31 days after that, you can take it a 3rd time. But that 3rd time you're stuck with it if you take it a 3rd time. The scores count for your last, not your highest exam, but your last exam. So like say you qualify for surface warfare, supply, intel, but don't qualify for aviation. You want to take the test again for aviation purposes. You take it again. You score lower this time and don't qualify for the other 3. You wouldn't be able to apply for the other 3. It's a great question, though, Catherine. Any other questions? The 806 number will work on text. So if you guys want to text me, that's cool too. I know how to use a phone. It's an iPhone, so you can text me. That's fine. I can send links on it. So if there's websites that I want you to see, I can send you those websites because it's text messaging. When I went to college, I didn't have a phone that text messaged my first year. Maybe I'm dating myself. But when I was there was a Starbucks in Tahlequah. That was pretty good. Any other questions? Okay. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, if you graduate this coming December. So I probably couldn't have you a job by the time you graduate, Samantha, but we can start putting in for that job now. Depending on what you want to do, there are boards coming up as early as January. If you took the test like this month, I could probably get you into a board starting in January. That's not a stretch either. That's like, we could definitely do that. There'd be an outside chance that I could get you into the December board for certain jobs. It'd be tough, but the biggest thing is taking the test and finding out if you can be an officer. Then we could, figure out what board we wanted to get you to. There's multiple boards per year for almost everything. So, like, there's 5 boards for almost every job that I mentioned. So, even if it's, we can't get you to the next one, like that was in December, we could probably get you to the one after that. That would be like in March for certain jobs. Did that answer your question, Samantha? Awesome. Well, please, like I said, make sure everybody has my number, 806-576-9910. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to call. I think that Ms. Tilley wanted to close, but if you have any questions, I'll stick around here as long as you guys need. But I think I'll pass it back over to you, Ms. Tilley.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for tuning in today. I hope you found this as informational as I did. I just wanted to remind everybody that is on here, please utilize your career services office, whether that's on the Broken Arrow campus or Tahlequah campus. We can help you with your resume. We can do mock interviews. We can help with professional attire. We've got some really cool events coming up. One of which is the major showcase. I don't know if everyone in this session already knows what they're doing with their major, if they're about to graduate, but if you do have some questions about other potential majors that NSU has, that would be a really awesome event, as well as our etiquette dinner. That is coming up at the beginning of November. So feel free to stop by our office, come chat with us, come chat with our career counselors. I have Lieutenant McGowan's information. So if you want to stop by, I can give you some of his cards, some more information. We have flyers and things like that. Just let us know if we can be of any help. So thank you guys. I hope you have a good rest of your evening.